Love lives here.
So I have a question for you. The question that we started off with this morning, the would you rather question, is would you rather vacation at an all-inclusive resort, or would you like to pack in everything and pack it all out? So all-inclusive resort, let's see your hands there. And at home, give me a 1 in the chat if you are an all-inclusive resort. And then packing in and packing out, 1, 2, 3, 4. And at home there, give me a 2 in the comments if you'd rather pack it in and out. So it seems to me that the majority of the people in this room are truly my people. Tough questions. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, because, I don't like to get dirty. I'm just saying. And if there is not hot water and electricity, Jeffrey, don't go. So, that's just the way I roll. So, I participated in Boy Scouts when I was a kid. I had my dose. I had my fill. I'm good. It was a good experience, and I'm good. So, at any rate, so the all-inclusive bit, right? The all-inclusive. When we're talking about all-inclusive, what really makes the difference between going to an all-inclusive resort, one of the things that is really a big deal about that makes it so unique, that makes it so great and so grand, is that everything is included, is it not? So you can get your spa treatments, you can get your beverages, adult beverages, you can have your endless buffets, you can enjoy water sports, you can enjoy mountain climbing, you can enjoy zip lining, whatever it is. All the activities that you want to do are all included in this resort. Indoor plumbing. Yes. Want to be in that one then? Yes. All right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? So that is the all-inclusive piece about one of these places, is it not? Well, guess what, beloveds? You live in an all-inclusive universe. What a concept, right? You live in an all-inclusive universe. So the real thing, or one of the real things that's stopping you from having this all-inclusive experience is your belief that you don't live in an all-inclusive universe, right? Make sense? And some of you are like, 2,000 thread count sheets don't live in my house, right? I do not have a butler. I do not have a maid. I do not have a private chef. And I do not live on the beach. So, and I do not have a housekeeper, yes. Right? But who's to say that that's not possible? Because it is done to us as we believe. And what did we say about as last week? You need a bigger as, yeah. Your as might be a little flat, right? You might need a bigger as, right? Because it's done unto us as we believe, to the degree that we believe it, at the time that we believe it, right? Too funny. So, we live in this all-inclusive universe. We live in this all-inclusive life, right? But the thing that is stopping us is our own limitations. And how hard do we argue for our limitations? We argue for our limitations like, no, I don't have that. I can't afford that. I live on a fixed income. I can't possibly go to Japan this year. I can't possibly have move houses. I can't possibly, right? There's no way for me to. You hear all this language, right? All this language is the I can'ts, right? We are limiting, we are arguing. And then you try and tell me all the reasons why you can't, right? We come up with excuses, don't we? Oh, yeah, no, I can't because my dog needs a dental cleaning, and so I really can't do that. I have to wash my hair even though I'm bald, so I can't do that, right? I mean, not Eddie. Eddie doesn't say that to me. And Eddie shampoos his head, so there you go. Right? So, right? But we make up these excuses, right? We give ourselves these excuses as to why we can't. And when we get into these excuses, we get into which point on the drama triangle when we are arguing for our excuses, when we're arguing for our limitations, which point on the drama triangle? Victim, right? And then whatever the situation is becomes the villain, right? Whatever the situation is, whatever is keeping us down, whatever we think is keeping us down, whatever our excuses are, right? That becomes the villain. And then we're looking for what? The hero, right? We're looking for the hero to come save us. We're looking for something, right? And we know that it's all external, right? That's the way we look at it. However, when we move into that empowerment triangle, we become the creator, right? And then there's a challenging situation that is there for us to learn and to grow from. And then there is the coach, perhaps, that is like calling us to our higher selves, calling us to a greater way of being, calling us to change our stinking thinking, calling us to, I don't know, get a new thought, right? It was really funny. The other day I was talking to a friend of mine, and she goes, you know, Jeff, it's like, that's not even just like transforming the thought. It's like me having a whole new thought. And I was like, uh-huh. Aren't I sneaky? Because she's not in this faith and philosophy, right? She's not part of this tradition. And we were just talking. She was just like, wow, it's like I need a new thought. I'm like, girl, we should talk more. We should talk more, right? So funny. So funny. I loved it. So, one of the things that gets in our way then, if we're arguing for our limitations and we are writing on this drama triangle and we have not yet necessarily hopped on the empowerment triangle, as you know, are our beliefs and then our behaviors, right? There's a lot of evidence that keeps us where we are. And as we know, if we change our thinking and we change our beliefs, then our behaviors also change. And as we change our thinking and our beliefs and behaviors, what is outpicturing there, what is demonstrating, what is manifesting, what is expressing in our lives, because this is the way the creative process works, that also must shift, that also must change. Now, we're not blaming anybody for the situations anybody is in or anybody has experienced, right? What we do offer, though, is the opportunity in this moment to begin shifting the thought, begin shifting the idea, begin shifting the belief, begin shifting the action. Yes? All right. So where I want to take this all-inclusive today is I want to take it into values. I want to take it into values because values, my beloveds, are at the root, or they are behind the beliefs. They are then behind the behaviors as well. What are our values? What are your values? What do you value? What do you place a high value on? So let's hear some of them. What are your values? Folks there at home, what are some of the values that you have there at home? Share those here. In the room, values, what are they? Kindness, authenticity, generosity, honesty, kindness, integrity, respect, life, peace, responsibility, taking responsibility, accountability. All right? Innocence, purity, joy. Good? All right. So, in asking those questions there, trust is another one. Vicky says trust there at home. So, by first identifying those values, now begin to think about how those values show up in your life. How are your beliefs tied into those values that you hold? What are the beliefs that are tied into that? And then what are the behaviors that you do based on those core values? Honesty, integrity, right? Kindness, compassion, joy, peace. And how much of what you do in your daily life is rooted in your values? And where, beloveds, might you be doing something that is not necessarily in alignment with your values? That's something else to be thinking about. Because sometimes we're not always in alignment with the value, right? Or sometimes what might be happening is we have conflicting values. Or they're not really conflicting values because the values themselves are neutral. The values themselves are, a quality of the divine. Many of the values that you mentioned are a quality of the divine. So that's neutral, right? But the way those values express in our lives, our beliefs that we formed around the values, and then the behaviors around the beliefs that we participate in, can be tied back to the value perhaps. But if there's what would be a conflicting, would be like life and freedom. They sound like they could be one and the same, but they could be the way they show up in the way you experience them, or in your beliefs and in your behaviors. They could show up where they're not quite in relationship with each other. So what do I mean by this? It's important to pay attention to how you are bringing your values into the world with your beliefs and your behaviors. Because when we do that, then you can see how others are bringing their values into the world. And then you can begin to, and we can begin to see the commonality, the unity of the value. The value is, we have that in common, but perhaps the way we express the value, or our beliefs and our behaviors express the value, are not the same and are not in common. So the opportunity on a grander scale is to look deeper and get to the values. So it's important to know our own values. So let's look at this example. Because you're like, what are you talking about? I got it. I feel you. So we're going to go this way. This month, it has to be a sigh because that's my own value and my own belief and my own behavior are coming out as I share this example with you. So, there. So, 2 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. Okay? So, right? So, that's the fact. Right? That's what happened. So, if we look at Roe v. Wade, and we look at, let's say you're a vegan and you're pro-life. You're a vegan and you're pro-choice. You're a vegan and you're pro-choice, right? So, looking at this situation here, you can be a vegan and the value is life, right? All life. Because you don't want to hurt the animals, you value the life of animals, you value the life of the planet, you value all of life, right? So that's life. And you can also be vegan, valuing all life, and be pro-choice, right? Because the pro-choice side of things also is about freedom. Freedom to make choices, freedom to govern your own body, freedom, right? So you've got life and you've got freedom. So perhaps a vegan that is pro-choice, when they're seeing Roe v. Wade, have no trouble being angry or upset or finding that that the overturn of Roe v. Wade is wrong, unethical, and it was the law of the land, right? So that's one scenario. Then you have the pro-life folks, right, who are also valuing life, what they consider life. So they're valuing life, and they also want their guns. Which is freedom for them. Whereas to the vegan pro-choice, the guns is not pro-life. So there is this, right? There's this weird look at it because now, well, I want my freedoms. I want my guns. That's my freedom. Don't tread on my freedom. And yet, I also hold that life is sacred. The same person also might feel that self-sufficiency is a core value. So they could also see it as pro-life, meaning life, meaning child, pro-life, and once the child is here, there's a self-sufficiency that needs to happen because the self-sufficiency is a core value, which means doing what you can to support on your own, to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And don't take away my guns. Right? So there is a freedom on that side, and there is a life on that side, right? So the value here is life, whether it's vegan or pro-life. The value here is life, and whether it is pro-gun or pro-choice, that's freedom on this side. So even though the belief is different, even though the behaviors are different, and definitely the positions are different, the underlying values that are getting them there are what? They're the same. I know, it's hard to breathe, people, right? We're going deep. I promised you this year we were going to go deep, right? That we're really going to look at this, because if we are going to heal the divide, if we are ever going to cross the divide, if we are ever going to get ourselves out of this separation, we also have to take responsibility for ourselves to get ourselves out of the separation. And if somebody else isn't going to do it, we can't rely on somebody else to do it. The only person that we have control over is who? Ourselves, right? So if we feel that we are experiencing division, if we feel that we are experiencing separation, whose responsibility is it to change that? Our own, my own, right? So this is the deeper work. Y'all wanted to go deep. I promised we would go deep. I promised I'm going to challenge you. And so here we are. I'm not saying you have to like the other side of this thought. I'm not saying you have to be best friends. I'm not saying you have to change your position. What I am inviting is that we get to the underlying core value. And when we can get to the underlying core value, then there is a place to meet. There is a place to engage. There is a place to converse. There is a place where, once again, the oneness shows up. And just because we say that there is one doesn't mean there is not a great diversity, a great multiplicity. But in that great diversity, in that great multiplicity, there is but one. right? There's only one. So we have the opportunity, nay, I say, the necessity, it is necessary for us to bring ourselves and to try to align ourselves with the value, the core value, and see that in one another. So that when it all comes down to choice, which it does, that we're always at choice, we can clearly discern and consciously decide what we say yes to, what we say no to, what we accept, what we reject, what we agree with, what we disagree with. You, my beloveds, we together, right, are consciously awake and consciously aware. And we have been called to awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. That's what we at Centers for Spiritual Living have been called to do. Awaken humanity to its spiritual magnificence. So it's up to us to stand in and to be conscious of how we are showing up, how we are participating, how we are saying yes, how we are saying no, what we are agreeing with, disagreeing with, what we are accepting, what we are rejecting, what is in alignment with our values, what is in alignment with our beliefs, what is in alignment with who we are. And then standing in that and speaking truth as we know it, as we understand it to be. Oh, the wind just got sucked out of the room. Breathe, 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 breathe. It feels like a lot, but it's not. Don't think about the larger picture. Don't think about, the people running for the highest office in the land. Don't go there, because that can feel overwhelming, right? Go to your neighbor. Go to the people in your neighborhood. Go to the local level. And what changes can you advocate for there? How do you want to show up there? Because that is the place where the difference is made. The conversations, that's why these tables are so important and so crucial. The conversations that we have around these tables begin the conversation on a larger scale. Now, sure, do a lot of us hold a similar position? Yes, we do. But there are some who might hold a different position from us on any number of issues. And they may be sitting at your table, not necessarily going to the biggies, right? Could be which Thai restaurant is the best one in Riverside. I mean, that could start some infighting, right? Who made the best vegan dish today? That could start some infighting, right? So it is what I want you to do is focus at the table. Focus with your neighbors. Focus with your neighborhood. Focus with those groups, those people with whom you have more consistent contact or more likely contact, and start there. As Ernest Holmes said, to stand for something yet against nothing. What that means is to stand from a place of principle, to stand from a place of value, to stand from your place of belief and your place of behavior, right? And not fight against necessarily, but promote your idea, promote the truth, promote what it is that you stand for, the value that you hold. Promote that rather than trying to tear something else down. Promote, enlist, recruit, be a positive pandemic, right? A pandemic of love, a pandemic of peace, a pandemic of joy. All those qualities that you said, all those values that you said. Be a positive pandemic. Be infectious with that rather than, oh yeah, No, 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 no. Blech. Blech. All right? So now what I would like for you to do is we're going to go to tables. And we're going to discuss some values at the tables. We are going to discuss how those values influence your daily choices. Then we also have the opportunity to discuss something that you haven't done yet or that you'd like to try or that you'd like to do that maybe you've been holding back on. You've been withholding. You've been limiting yourself in some way. And then come up with an idea of, without compromising your values, what is a different choice that you can make that would help you achieve it? Remember, sometimes we have these values that as they express, they're expressing what could be or could feel like a contrary thing, and it doesn't have to be. It doesn't even have to be a contrary thing within yourself. Okay? Ready, set, go. So the thing that your takeaway for this week or your homework or your assignment this week is draw 6 columns on your paper. All right, so you're going to draw 6 columns on your paper. The first column, you're going to label value. The second column, you're going to label belief. The third column, you're going to label position. And then above that, you can put a bracket and put me, right? So these are my values, my belief, my position. Then you can make that middle line thicker if you want to. Then you're going to have the 4th column is going to be position. 5th column is going to be belief. 6th column is going to be value. And then you can put bracket above that one and say other person. Okay? So this is a way of writing it out or making a list. So what you're going to do is you're going to list. You're going to list your value, your core values, and then list, once you have that, then list your beliefs that are associated with those values, and then list your position that is associated with the beliefs that's associated with the value. You tracking what I'm saying? Alan, you got it? You going to explain it to Jabel? All right. Because Jabel was like, oh, what? So, all right. Yes, Cindy. A belief. I believe that everybody should be able to eat the food they want. My position, perhaps, is that I advocate for omnivorism. Right? And Cindy said, well, you're wrong. Right? Well, so you're making an assumption that value, that eating whatever you want is kindness, and I'm saying that I might be saying that it's freedom, right? Right? So freedom. My core value is freedom. My belief is everybody should be able to eat whatever they want, and then my position, perhaps, in that is I personally advocate for eating whatever you want, being an omnivore. So that would be the way, because the way you say eating all you want might be different, right? Eating everything you want might be different, the position. Well, let me do the other half first. And all right. So most of you are getting it, so I will come back to explaining it with another example in a few minutes. The other way, then the other thing is to look at these positions that you don't agree with. Look at the positions that you don't agree with. What are the beliefs that are holding the positions in place, or the behaviors? Positions, behaviors, interchangeable, all right? So what is the position or behavior that you don't agree with? Then what is the belief? What do you think the belief is that is causing the behavior? And then what is the value that is driving the belief? So basically, my beloveds, it's easier for us to identify. Let's try this. Band, get ready. Yeah. Okay, so for some of you, behavior, position is the same. That clarifies it. So it's easier for us to identify our own values, right? We can identify our values. This is basically what I said earlier. You're identifying your value, you're identifying what your belief is, and then you are identifying the position or behavior that you do based on that value and those beliefs, okay? However, if you're riled up by somebody who doesn't agree with vegetarianism or veganism, right? So it's like, oh, he's a hardcore meat eater, killing animals, and I just don't get it, right? Slaughtering the poor, intelligent pigs so he can have bacon in the morning. I don't get it, right? It's easy to see what you don't agree with, that position or that behavior. So then what is the belief that he has that is fueling or supporting the behavior of eating pork, right? And then get behind that to what is the value. Because when we see somebody else, it's easier to see the behavior first. Then we guess what the belief might be, or we try to identify what the belief might be, and then we can discern, this is an example of freedom or self-sufficiency or whatever it is, right? So then, once you've done that, as we were talking about before, look for the commonality of the values. What values do I have in common with this bacon-loving person, right? Make sense? All right. Praise God. Thank you. Yes. All right. So I invite our practitioners, core council members to please stand and surround the space. And let's come together in consciousness here and now, recognizing that there is the only one power, one infinite eternal, that is love, that is joy, that is peace, that is harmony, that is divine right order, divine right action. Everything is unfolding under grace and in absolute perfect ways because there is no other way for it to unfold, because everything, all of it is included in the divine. All of it is included in love, in light, in peace, in harmony, and joy. Absolutely everything is included. So therefore, I know that there is no separation. I cannot be separate from this one life, this one power. I cannot be separate from love itself. I cannot be separate from peace. And as I know that this is true of me, I know that this is true of all of creation, of everyone gathered here this day, that we are all one with the one and one with each other. That we truly hold the highest values, which are the God qualities, that each one of us is a divine emanation and impartation, a manifestation of these qualities themselves. And though there is great diversity and great multiplicity, there is simply unity. And so we all come back to the one. And so it is in this oneness that I say yes, it is in this oneness that I recognize the divine in everyone I meet, in everyone I see, and in all of life. And I call it forth from within each and every individual, calling forth their highest self, their most loving, loved self, the love that they are, the peace they are, the joy they are. And together we stand in harmony. Together we stand in beauty. We stand in joy, love, and peace. And so I simply give thanks for this now. Knowing it is true, knowing it is so, knowing it is done, I release this word, and together we affirm, and so it is. So I invite everyone to stand, and let's say this affirmation together. I open my heart and my mind. I open my heart and mind.
I open my heart and mind.
Say it loud like you mean it. I open my heart and mind.
I open my heart and mind.
Great. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
It is this thing called love.
It is this thing called love.
Love is in my mind.
Love is in my mind.
Love is in my body.
Love is in my body.
Love is in everything I do.
Love is in everything I do.
I am it.
I am it.
I share it.
I share it.
I receive it.
I receive it.
And I move love forward.
And I move love forward.
Because
Because
love lives here.